Hey, friends, it is Friday again. It was like Friday like 3 hours ago, it seems like. I mean, that's because I'm getting old and a lot of gray hair. But anyway, had an awesome week on the road this week, doing what I love to do, and just burning up the road and pizza pies and donuts and all kinds of good stuff for customers. The favorite part of the week is on Friday, and sometimes more often when I get to sit with some incredibly great guests. And I'm going to tell you, folks, you are going to love Steve Rizzo. Steve and I've got to know each other not that long ago, maybe a few months, 6 months, I don't know, maybe a year. To him, it probably seems like forever, a lifetime. But with that said, you're going to find him as funny, motivating, inspirational, and you better sit down because your gut may hurt at some point. Anyways, that's it. We're going to be right back with my friend Steve. Don't go away. Boom, there we are. While you're there, that's why I say, every time I do these, Steve, I'm always impressed when like the guest is there because Wes is a genius, but I'm always concerned about technology. So welcome, my friend.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, of course, you're looking good. You ready to go?
But then again, why wouldn't you?
Well, it's true. I mean, that's what I say. When I get home from the road, I tell my wife, "Are you glad to see me?" She says, "Yeah, I guess." And I said, "Well, you ought to be. I mean, I just think it's pretty thrilling that I came home." But the Dixie chick, exactly. So, hey, quick shout out first. Look at that. Kirsten, Shannon, and Barry are on already. Love it. Love it. Shannon, are we being broadcast throughout the whole office there? Because we better get on air. Let's go. Anyway, Steve, thank you, man. This is going to be a good time. I've been looking forward to this one. So, how you been? Good. Life is treating you
Actually,
well.
life is great. Then again, I have to say that because I'm a motivational speaker. So,
Yeah, that'd be a little true. That would be bad to say. I mean, really, life kind of sucks, but
no, absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, but
Well, we have. Trust me, I have my days. I mean, we all do. Just
oh,
that
y'all do
I know when to bounce back. You know,
exactly.
it was funny. What?
You know anything about that?
Oh
You know
yeah.
anything about that?
Yeah. That is my latest book. That is took me 7 years to write. That is the main reason why I was put on this planet, and it's getting incredible reviews on Amazon right now. I mean,
It is.
5-star reviews. Uh, it's just such heartfelt comments, and I will just say this is the only plug for the book. It is called Conversations with Bob. Bob is God. How he gets the name Bob. You're going to have to read the book to find out, but I will promise you that after you've read this book from cover to cover, I don't care who you are, you will realize how much power you have over every aspect of your life.
Beautiful.
So,
Well, I can tell everybody I've read the book once completely, and I'm partway back through it, and it is amazing. But before we go there, because there's a backstory to everything, right?
yeah.
Uh, you did a little comedy. You're kind of a funny guy. I mean, I shared the stage with some pretty major names. So let's go back to that first, or further if you want
I
to.
did.
But let's.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm going to start with the comedy, and I probably will go back a little further than that. But yeah, I did stand up for close to 25 years. I headlined comedy clubs, uh, theaters, and colleges throughout the country. Had my own Showtime special, and then at the very pinnacle of my comedy career, I just when things really started happening, I left comedy to become a personal development speaker. It wasn't an abrupt thing. It happened through the years. My mind started shifting into another direction, and I finally decided to follow my heart. But there is a reason why I left stand up, and I'll get to that story now.
Okay.
I was voted least likely to succeed in my senior class in high school. And
So we got another thing in common.
there you go. I was told by a guidance counselor in eighth grade in front of my mom and dad, I was 14 years old, that I wasn't smart enough to go to college. And at that time, all I ever wanted to be was a teacher. And the sad truth is that I believed this guy, and so did my mom and dad, because as great as they were as parents, they were from the old school. They figured this man's got to know what he's talking about. Look at his title, guidance counselor. If he doesn't know, who does? So not only did I let this idiot tell me what I couldn't do, I let him tell me what he thought I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Cut over to a little bit. And, at that time when that happened, I didn't think anything of it. You just took it as it came. But when I left school, the high school, I went into the real world. those negative labels were the determining factors for many of the decisions I made. My philosophy in life for a very big part of my life was don't try and you won't fail because you're not good enough, worthy enough, or smart enough. And to make a long story short, I took me 5 years after high school to finally go to college. And when I did, it wasn't easy for me, but I went for tutoring and extra help, and I graduated with high honors and degrees with psychology, English education, and a master's in theater arts. And I went back to the same school that I graduated from, where I was voted least likely to succeed. I was a counselor for kids with behavioral problems, and I was an English teacher for 2 years. And I loved teaching. I loved it. And at that time, in the early 80s, comedy clubs started opening up on Long Island, which is where I live.
Mhm.
And I started going to these clubs, auditioning and working out just a little bit, doing 5 minutes, 10 minutes on audition night. And I started getting really, really good at it. And it was my second year of teaching. After that year, I decided I wasn't going to go back and I was going to go full time into stand up. And at that time, comedy clubs were opening up all over the country. Omaha, Nebraska, Des Moines, Iowa, all in the South, everywhere. Almost every city had at least 2 comedy clubs. And I was making a great living, headlining and all that stuff. My opening acts, when I did stand up back then, Chris Rock opened for me, Seinfeld opened for me, Dennis Miller opened for me, Drew Carey opened for me,
Wow.
Ron White opened for me, all these big names. And something started happening. I noticed that my opening acts were getting all the big breaks. And I'm saying to myself, what's going on here? How come opportunity isn't knocking on my door?
Right.
And I realized it was opportunity was knocking the whole time. I came to the harsh reality that I was afraid to open the door. I realized I had a fear of success and failure. So I went on a quest to better myself. And I mean, Randy, I mean a quest. I read almost every self-help book you could imagine, went to spiritual seminars, motivational seminars, went to Tony Robbins seminars. And through the year, I fell asleep with headphones listening to affirmations because I didn't believe in myself.
Right. Right.
And, everyone in your inner circle can believe in you, but if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going anywhere. And I was
Exactly.
sabotaging great things that were coming my way because I didn't think it was good enough. So through the years, my belief system became very powerful. And at that time, then, when I had this impeccable belief in myself, the entertainment industry was really interested. Something weird was happening. I was no longer interested in them.
Hmm.
And I decided that the tools that I used to turn my life around, I was going to use the strategies, the common sense success strategies, as I call them, and they're in that book, by the way, I was going to use to help people to better their lives. So I became a motivational speaker, personal development speaker, and I've been doing that for well over 20 years now. And it's the best move I ever made.
Yeah.
The best thing I ever did.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are what Shannon's a marketing guru with a company I do a lot of work with. Give yourself permission to succeed from the Crush It team. That's pretty
Yeah,
spot on, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah. 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 What was that, Randy?
Yeah, I said, yeah, and Jason St. John's, he says he's going to buy a book. Look at that, we sold a book today. Wow.
You're gonna love the book. I guarantee you, and I appreciate that. I so much appreciate it. And when I speak, I'm still funny. I'm very funny. That today we live in the United States of entertainment, and
Right.
the attention span of the average audience today, Randy, is very minimal. And unless a speaker has some kind of entertaining value to captivate the audience, you're going to lose them.
Right.
So I weave it in with a lot of humor and a message, and the book is a funny read. It's very funny, but it's a very profound book.
It is.
So that's where I am at this point in my life. And this book took me 7 years to write. It came at the lowest point of my life, in the middle of a divorce after 34 years, and I was the one that made the decision, and it killed me. It destroyed me. My new saying is sometimes doing the right thing can be the most painful thing you could ever do.
Hmm.
And I ran away from Long Island, and I abruptly woke up one morning and I told my wife, I said, I'm sorry, but I can't stay. I got to leave. I knew something was wrong. My demons were coming back again. The negative labels were coming back again. And I decided to move to California, and I lived in Marina Del Rey for 2 years to face my demons. And this was as I was a motivational speaker,
Right.
but I felt like a hypocrite. There I am
Exactly.
on stage giving people strategies to turn their life around, and I felt my life was just going down.
Hmm.
So it was one day I was on the beach, Venice Beach, after work. I always exercise every day, and I worked out at this 24-hour gym, and I was having a tough time sleeping. So I'd go to the gym at 4 in the morning, and after my workout, I'd walk on Venice Beach at about 5:30 in the morning. And one morning, I just lost it. I mean, I totally lost it. I actually know what it means to go out of your mind. If anyone
Really.
would have heard me on that beach, they would have dialed 911, said there's a maniac on the beach. I was screaming, cursing, heart-wrenching tears, cursing at God,
Right.
demanding God to show himself. And I took a step and I said, what the hell is wrong with me? And what am I doing here? And then I took another step and I heard something inside me say, you know why you're here and you know what's wrong. You're just too caught up in your drama to find the answers. It's time for you to walk your talk. And I went, where did this come from?
Hmm.
I got in my car, drove back to my apartment in Marina Del Rey, took out my laptop, a pen and a pad, because that's how I write. And I asked another question. And then another answer came. Then I asked another question. I typed in another question, and another answer came. I was typing and answering these questions for 5 hours. And I let it go. I went back the next day and I read what I wrote. And I swear to you, I didn't remember writing any of it.
Really.
And I started doing it again. And then after a couple of days, I'm going, oh my God, I'm writing a book here. So the book is about two people, your inner Bernie and your inner Bob. And you have a choice as to which one you want to listen to. Your inner Bob has all the answers to all of your questions and solutions to all of your problems. You just have to learn how to communicate and connect with it. And the book shows you how. Your inner Bernie resides in the negative zone. And everyone on this planet experiences Bernie's negative emotions in negative ways throughout various stages of their lives. Everyone at some point in their life. And that's what the book is about.
Yeah, you just interesting thing you just talked about how it was like you type in questions and it's like almost like your hands writing the answers, right? And
Yep.
and I'm bringing this up to Steve because I want to make sure you know that I did actually read your book. It was I love that part of your book where basically the pen starts writing on the whiteboard or the chalkboard
Oh,
by
yeah.
itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is some brilliant stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah. That was Bob's magic, bringing a chalkboard and a piece of chalk, writing out when he
exactly,
wanted to emphasize something to Bernie.
yes,
And what
good
I like
stuff.
about the book too is that Bob is so funny.
Oh,
You
he's
know,
hilarious.
he's so personal. I mean, that's God. I mean,
Yep.
and that's how he's able to communicate with Bernie, and they become like the best of friends.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, it's why I was put on this planet, and I enjoy it. So
Well, and your comedy, and I've watched a lot of your comedy. We just talked about this off screen here or offline. The Falkland Islands was absolutely massively gut busting funny. I've watched a lot of your stuff, not only really to prepare for the show, but just once I got to know you, I just knew I liked this guy and started watching your stuff and your type of humor is different than some.
yeah,
And talk to me about did you decide this is a kind of comedian I'm going to be, and then it kind of transferred into the book,
I,
or is that just you? Is that
it's just
is that
who I
Steve?
am. It's just who I am. When I even did comedy, I think the key to being a really good comedian is to be who you are, even though you're going to offend a lot. You might even offend a lot of people, which is very tough today because we have become so politically correct that we're
Right.
stifling our laughter genes, our humor genes. But I realized the healing power of humor when I was doing stand up. Randy, there were times when I was on stage and there could be 600 people, sold out crowd, and as I'm doing my routine, I'm thinking to myself at the same time, man, there are people in this audience experiencing challenging times at some point in their lives. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe they're having financial difficulties. Maybe they or a loved one are inflicted with some kind of illness. But for that hour that I'm on stage, their challenges and their problems, whatever they were, didn't own them. Why? Because they're simply allowing themselves to take time out to laugh.
Hmm.
Laughter is the pit stop in the rat race of life, and that it gives you enough emotional fuel and repairs to get back into the race again. But the initiative and the proficiency by which we allow ourselves to laugh comes from what I call your humor being. And everyone listening to me right now, everyone on this planet has a humor being within them. Your humor being is of your higher self. It is a part of you that always brings out the best in you when times get really tough. What your humor being can give you more than anything else is a peace of mind and emotional stability, which is something we all need today more than any other time in the history of this planet.
Exactly. Exactly. So you do a lot of, and we'll go back to Bob anytime you want, because I would like to maybe talk a little bit more about the book if you want, a little more in depth. But
Whatever you want.
what uh, do you miss being on stage? I guess that's one thing it popped up
Yeah, I
as you were talking
do.
about, because
I
you
do.
loved it. Obviously, you were
Oh
great
my
at
God. It wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy decision for me to do. But as a matter of fact, my roommate was Drew Carey. He was my roommate in LA, and we had an argument. He said, he said, you can't be leaving. You're so close. You're so close. I said, so close to what? He goes, to making it. How can I be so close to making something that I don't want to do anymore?
Right.
And but it was the best thing I did. It was the thing I loved about stand-up itself was that you have the freedom to say what you want, which I don't have that much as far as the comedy goes. I can't curse doing my speaking. You can't say the F word. You can't. You could get reprimanded for saying hell.
Right.
You know what I mean? With some people.
Right.
So that was my biggest challenge. How am I going to be funny and not say the F word? That's an adjective to me.
Yep.
But I learned how to do it. But I missed that spontaneity, that harshness, that shock value. I love, and I do give shock value when I speak, but it's in a different way. It's a different tone. The attitude is still there. The New York edge is still there because I get very blunt when I speak, when I make my message. I don't pull any punches. I don't believe in honesty light. I believe in 100% pure honesty. And that's the New Yorker in me. New Yorkers have that reputation.
Right. Right.
If you ask their opinion, they're going to give it to you. They will not sugarcoat it. And you might get offended. But
such as life. Yeah, exactly.
That's the question.
Yep, exactly.
Well, don't get me wrong. My sense of humor gets me in trouble sometimes too. When I was living in LA, I got pulled over by a cop. Cop pulls me over and he said, he goes, "Didn't you see that stop sign?" I said, "Yeah, I saw it. I just didn't see you hiding behind it." So he goes, "Are you drinking?" I said, "Are you buying?"
Oh man!
But the coolest thing, he went back to his car, and I'm thinking he's writing me up, and I see him laughing, and he gets out of the car. He shakes his head. He goes, "I was just about to write you up." He goes, "You know what? I can't. I needed to laugh today." He goes, "Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Get out of here and be careful."
That's funny. Pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So Alicia, a good friend of mine, she says my humor being has gotten some serious stage time in the last few years. I like that reference, Steve.
Yeah, use it all the time. It's your humor being. Everyone has one. Like I said, though, we're stifling our humor beings because of this politically correctness, and that's
you do. It is a shame, and I find myself that I like to joke around and have fun with people and with customers, and you learn the ones you can and you can't, right? But hey, Eric Bam, do you know Eric Bam, don't you? I think we know him.
Good. He's my co-host on my show. Hey, I'm talking here.
That's right.
He'll be on this Thursday at 7 p.m. If you don't mind me saying, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hey, I'm talking here.
I don't mind.
He's a very good friend, and I love him.
Yeah, he's a good buddy of Wes and I's both. And matter of fact, if Wes, if you happen to find the information for that, go ahead and pop it up for Steve and Eric. I don't mind at all. But it's funny. I find in my world of sales that I every once in a while that little noise in my head says stop. You're being a little too much Randy, and you don't know these people well enough yet, right? And,
no, I get it.
It's hard, but what's Eric say? Rarely is Rizzo not the best looking guy on a live show. Today is no different. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think I bought wine the last time we was together in Tulsa, but never again, Eric Bam. Anyway, yep. So, but yeah, so let's go back. So and I don't want to tell so much, or you're not going to tell so much in the next 10 minutes that nobody's going to buy the book, because everybody's going to buy the book after this. But hey, my favorite Canadian from the Ukraine. Hey, lads, good stuff. David Stevenson, good dude.
Favorite Canadian from the Ukraine?
Yeah,
How the hell does that happen?
I don't know. He came from the Ukraine to Canada, and then yeah, actually, I think he lives in Costa Rica now or something.
Okay, now I get it.
He's a world
Kelly
traveler.
too.
Yeah, he's a hippie world traveler, kind of, like all of us want to be or was, but good buddy from way back. But so Bob, let's talk a little more about Bob and Bernie, because do you find that in your life? We've already discussed off screen. You're just a tiny little year or two older than I. Um, do you find that you said everybody has a Bob and Bernie? Is it always that big fight between the two, do you think? And who's going to win today? Or do you think people, have you found in your life, they're a little more heavier to one or the other? Does that make a sense? Is that a sensible question?
There are some people. Bernie. A lot of people ask me, "Is Bernie you?" Yeah, well, that's why I started writing the book. I mean, it's an exaggerated me, but Bernie, as I said, regardless of race, religion, creed, social status, gender, it doesn't matter. Everyone experiences Bernie's negative emotions and thought patterns and beliefs throughout various stages of their lives. And if your inner Bernie is dominant, your life will not work. If you allow your inner Bernie to control your life, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not worthy enough. It's the way the law of attraction works. What you think is what you get. What you say out loud is what you ask for. And Bob is trying to tell Bernie that there's a part of him that has the solutions to all of your problems, an answer to all of your questions. You just have to learn to connect with it.
Right, exactly.
And Bob reveals to Bernie throughout the entire book, he gives him what Bob calls common sense strategies and shifting habits that will not only take him to a better place personally, but professionally. As a matter of fact, there's a point in the book, at the beginning of the book, as you remember, where Bernie winds up in this place after he has a heart attack and he thinks he's in heaven. Mm-hmm. And he meets Bob, God, and he's sitting in God's office. And Bob says, "You seem a tad upset, perhaps at me." And that's when Bernie breaks down in a heap of tears. "Why didn't you answer my prayers? I prayed to you every day. I got on my knees, hands and knees, and I begged. Do you have any idea what it's like to see your friends and everybody in your circle have what they want and achieve everything time and time again? And no matter how I try, and no matter what I tried to do to turn my life around, it never works. I went through 2 divorces. I did this and nothing works. And you didn't answer my prayers. Why?" And then there's a pause. And Bob reflects and he goes, "I did answer your prayers. The seed possibility to your prayer was always there, but you pray with the same negative attitude you have about your life." And he said, "And Bob says to Bernie, what do you expect? A miracle?" And Bernie bursts, "Of course, that's what I expect. Isn't that your job?" And then Bob says, "Haven't you ever heard the saying, God helps those who help themselves?" And he said, "Yes, I heard it my whole life." He goes, "Well, apparently you don't know what it means. This is what it means, Bernie. You have to meet me halfway. I could only do for you what you're willing to do for yourself." In other words, you can't pray for peace of mind for that particular day and then get into your car first thing in the morning and start cursing at everybody in traffic. Right. What do you expect? You have to meet me halfway. I planted the seed possibility for your prayers to be answered, but you went into prayer with a negative attitude, knowing that it wasn't going to be answered to begin with. And then after the prayer, you lived your life with the same negative attitude, and yet you expect your life to turn around the way that you want. He goes, what you put in is what you get back. It's the law of attraction.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Hey, our mutual friend, Kellen Ann's on. Thank you, Kellen. Good to see you here. She says she likes the book too. I've never seen anybody that doesn't like the book. It's amazing. So part 1, you talked about part 1, the power of choice is a cornerstone for success and happiness. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Choose wisely, my friend, Bob. That's a pretty powerful way to start the book off, I think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's choices, right? We all have choices every day. thousands a day sometimes, right?
Yeah, your entire life is based on the choices that you make. Think about this. I mean, really think about this. Don't let these words pass you by. Your entire life is based on the choices that you make. And for every choice that you make, there is always, always a consequence. In fact, folks, where you are, all of you, where you are at this point in your life, this is what Bob says to Bernie, where you are at this point in your life is based on the choices that you made at some point in the past. Those choices are the key factors that determine the quality of life and happiness that you have right now. If you think your life isn't working on some level, it's time for you to make different choices. And that first step to making those different choices is by creating a different thought process, because your thoughts, through a consistent way of thinking, will eventually create the beliefs you have about a particular something. And your beliefs write the story of your life. So every now and then you have to stop and ask yourself, especially if your life isn't working, what kind of a story am I writing now?
Right.
And that's when Bob shows Bernie to shift his way of thinking to have a thought process that will create a brighter outcome.
Well, the good news and the bad news to that, right, is, well, it's more good than bad, I think. But like you said, we're living based on choices we've made in the past. The key to that, right, is we better think now about the future, whether we got 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, whatever we got. Whatever we're doing today is who we're going to be fast forward 5 years, 10 years, right?
Yeah. But the scary thing here, Randy, is that most people are unaware that they have created these negative habits. I would bet you most people today, when they wake up in the morning, start their day in a low mood at best, and they're not even aware of what they're doing to themselves, because it has become a part of who they are. It's become a habit. They've created negative, toxic beliefs and habits that rule their lives. As soon as they wake up, before they take the covers off, most people will think about the challenging, if not grueling day they had the day before, all the fires that won't put out, the idiots that they think they had to deal with. Then they think about the stuff that has to be done on that day. And they can't understand why, before they take the covers off, even after they take the covers off and they have 3 cups of coffee, they're going into work and their energy level is rock bottom. Because they don't know the thoughts that they've been thinking over a lifetime and a belief system that they created over a lifetime.
That's a good point, because you think about, the 20 minutes of suck. I've heard that somewheres. I'd like to say I made it up, but I didn't. But if nobody claims it, I will. That just because you had 20 minutes of suck doesn't mean you're going to have a sucky day or a sucky week or something, or a month. But the problem, like you just said, is people things good and bad, and you touched on this a few minutes ago. Things compound, right? Good things compound, and bad things compound. And if you take that 20 minutes to suck and let it become 40 minutes, and pretty soon it's the whole day, then it's the week, then it's the month, then it's your life, right?
Yeah. But the thing that compounds it more, Randy, is that 20 minutes of suck is 20 minutes, but your subconscious that runs 97% of your life is throwing all the other shit at you that sucked for the 30, 40, 50 some odd years that you've been living.
Right.
And your subconscious saying, see, here we go again. More crap is thrown your way. More crap. And before you know it, people walk through their lives in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and keep going with this label like my life sucks. And the more you think your life sucks, the more your life is going to suck. Right. Your subconscious is the genie of your soul. Whatever you program into it, it will say your wish is my command. People go to work on a Monday, and it's a hectic day, and unknowingly they say stuff like this to themselves. Oh man, I can't believe all this crap is happening to me right now. I can't wait for the weekend to get here. When the weekend gets here, that's when I'm going to enjoy myself. Nobody respects anything I do here. I don't get the appreciation. I don't get paid enough. It's the same thing over and over again. I can't wait for the weekend to get here. Then I'm going to enjoy myself. Never realizing that their subconscious, the genie in their soul, is answering them by saying, okay, your wish is my command. I could wait for you to be happy on the weekend. If you want to wait for the weekend to be happy, fine, you can do that. People are putting the happiness on hold. So then some people may be thinking, okay, well, at least when the weekend gets here, then I'll be happy. No, you won't, because that mindset will still stay with you. And you will find something else that you think is keeping you from enjoying that day, whatever it may be. So maybe it's a Saturday and you're saying, man, if the kids would just get the hell out of the house for half a day, I could just have some peace and quiet. If my wife or my husband would just leave me alone, then I could enjoy this day. There's always something that you will find because your subconscious is programmed for you to find it. And you created that programming. Is this making sense?
It does make sense. It makes a lot of sense. So, and that breeds another slight little question that just popped up. Nobody's born, right, positive or negative. So this all starts day one almost, right?
Yep.
Parents, sisters, siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, whoever. But at some point, do you find, or do you think the average person, because let's face it, some people go through a lot more suck than others, right? It's life throws at them. But with all that said, are we programmed more to be positive, or are we programmed more to be negative? Because I think sometimes it seems easier to be negative. Sometimes it's easier to just go, yeah, this day sucked. It's going to suck. Tomorrow's going to suck. Next week's going to suck. I hate my life.
That's a great question. Yeah. It's part of the human condition, basically, to sway negative. However, I have spent most of my life, especially since I became a speaker, studying people, and I've been blessed because I know a lot of famous people that went through extreme adversity, and they're blessed in so many ways. I have a brother that's 100% disabled from the Vietnam War. You talk about life throwing crap at you. He's the only man in medical history that ever survived that wound. And he took his life. He went from 168 pounds to 94 pounds. He was in a hospital for 7 months. They said he wouldn't survive. He's in medical journals as someone who beat the odds. I'm making a very long story short. But what he did with his life was nothing short of miraculous. When he got out of the hospital, he went to college when he was 96 pounds. He graduated with degrees in history, education, administration, went back to the same school that he graduated from, became a history teacher and then an attendance officer. Then they made him assistant principal, then principal. When he wanted to retire, they wouldn't let him. They made him superintendent of the entire school system. He did more than survive. He thrived. He thrived because he looked at it from a different perspective. His mindset was different that he created. His thought process was different. His belief system was different. He never said, why me? He said, this is me. This is what happened to me. This isn't what I thought my life was going to be. Well, what can I do to turn my life around? Who can I go to that can help me? What strategies do I have to create that will take me from here to live the life that I desire and I deserve? This is not going to be easy, but I'm going to do this. That's totally different than someone else saying, I can't believe this is happening to me. It's been happening to me my whole life. What am I going to do now? My life is over. My life is ruined. No. You're creating your own reality right there. That's two different mindsets that people have a choice to focus on. You create the mindsets by your thought process, and those thoughts will create the beliefs. Those beliefs will create the way that you feel. Those feelings will lead to the attitude that you have about life. And all of this put together, those thoughts, those beliefs, those feelings, that attitude will eventually lead to the actions that you take, and the actions that you take always lead you to the outcome. That's what separates those who succeed in life and those who fail.
Wow, that's spot on. So, that's amazing stuff right there, because I always have found, Steve, I've run into a fair amount of negative people in my life. I try to hang around more positive people. That's because I happen to believe also that if you as you said, you become what you think about. Well, if all you're around is negative, man, it's hard to keep that from osmosis, right? And same way, if you're around positive people, uplifting people, people that think of being successful, think of growing, that grows on you too, right? And,
absolutely. That's a great point. It's always you have to. You got to think about who you're hanging out with. I'm not saying to dump your friends, but sometimes that's a good idea.
Sometimes dump your friends,
because who you hang out with becomes a part of who you are. And if you're hanging out with people that do nothing but whine and complain, the chances are you're going to wind up doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who you hang out with is incredibly important. Yep. And that's another thing that I did when I was doing stand-up. I was hanging out with a lot of people that were partying way too much, and it's something I had to get away from. Yep. And every step forward that you take, especially after you've hit rock bottom, your subconscious is adding something to you. The genie of your soul is saying, Do this one thing again. It'll empower you more. Do this other thing. See what you're doing. You're living your life in a healthier way now. You're not doing as much drinking as you were before. You're focusing more on your career than you were before. You know what? Look what's happening to you. You're changing. And your subconscious acknowledges on an unconscious level that you're turning your life around. Just like your subconscious was, without you realizing, was sinking you towards the bottom because of the way you were thinking, the way you're living your life. What you think is what you get, as I said, and what you say out loud is what you ask for.
Exactly. You know, as we wrap up here, one or two other quick things, but Alicia says a good statement. I think you can wish away your life to the weekend, or you can live all week. And I think,
oh, I love that.
Pretty spot on, right?
Alicia, that's great.
That is good stuff.
That's great. That's way cool.
Well, it is, and it reminds me, Steve, of my best buddy that talked about, or one of my best buddies, and he worked at a job he hated and didn't like, and you know where I'm going to go with this, counting the days, the weeks, the months until I get to retire, right? And so miserable for 56 years, and then finally reached the pinnacle of the world, right? Which is, I'm done working now. And then he managed to go ahead and die like 6 months later, right? So wow. That always reminds me of that, and that statement that Alicia made is so good, is that what was all that period of time that you didn't live? Yep. Just waiting for that magical moment that could be it could be 20 years of retirement, 30 years of retirement, 40 years of retirement, yep. doing everything you want, or it could be 4 days, right?
Yep. The biggest disease in this country, Randy, is unhappiness. Yep. And the reason why people are unhappy is that they don't know they're doing it. They're unconsciously putting their happiness on hold. Right. And it's with everyone, but especially high achievers, CEOs of companies, people who are multimillionaire billionaires. They have this mindset: I'll be happy when I achieve the goal. Right now, I can't afford to be happy. I can't afford to enjoy myself. You have to enjoy yourself during the process of whatever it is you're trying to achieve, because if you're not, you're ripping yourself off. Because I look at it this way: I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you make. Everybody could look at you as the ultimate success story. You could have hundreds of millions of dollars, but the bottom line is this: if you're not happy, you're not successful. And if you're not enjoying yourself during the process of whatever it is you're trying to achieve, you're ripping yourself off. And trust me, there are enough people out there willing to do that for you.
Exactly. So, Inner Bob, that's how folks find your book, right?
YourInnerBob.com. If you want to purchase the book, it's a cool website. YourInnerBob.com. www.YourInnerBob.com. When you go to the website, you will see 5 little brief excerpts of chapters that you might want to glance at. There are videos, and you can order it on Amazon or PayPal. And if you really enjoyed the book, as I'm sure you will, and that's not boasting, just leave a review on Amazon. I would so much appreciate that. That goes a long way. I just want everyone to know that I as I said earlier when I first came on the podcast here, there it is. There it is. It's pretty cool. My mission is to get the message out in this book. That's what I want to do. I want to get the message out. I want to let people know that they can live a happier, more successful life if they shift their way of thinking. So awesome. This has been a great interview, Randy. I love what you do. You're so great at what you do, and I appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And I appreciate you. I appreciate your humor is very funny, but more than that, I appreciate your positive mental attitude about this. And it's something, I'm a pretty positive guy. I'm probably upper 10 percentile of positive, because that's just my nature, I think. Yeah. Not always been that way. And I remember those days of getting up and putting a suit and tie on and barely fixing my hair and refusing to shave because I just hated the world. I hated life. I hated everything about it. And I did that for like 5 or 6 years before I decided to get back into sales, which is something that I just love. And wow, what a difference! Almost overnight.
Yeah.
To and sometimes you got to walk away. And I walked away at that point in time with a job that wasn't like massive money, but it certainly get viable, if that's a word.
Yeah.
To holy crap, if I don't sell anything, I'm not going to eat, right? But you got to go do it, right? Because it's fun and you love it, and that's what your calling is, if you will. So you've hit your calling. Even you've had two major callings, maybe more, but the comedy, obviously, but you still get to do that in your speaking. But I think all of us are glad that you are doing things like Conversation with Bob. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. I
you got
appreciate
it,
that.
buddy. Any last words, or else I'll let you get out of here and I'll tell everybody goodbye and
No,
we'll be
no,
done.
this is it. I just, like I said, my mission is to get the message out, and you folks can help with the mission. If you like the book, tell other people to buy it. Tell them to go to my website, sign up for my Rizzogram, which is on the homepage of my website, and Rizzogram will get an article or a video on my message, and you'll also get reminders when my podcast "Hey, I'm Talking Here" will be airing, and you can
Yes.
click on the link and you could. Join us in on the show.
Yeah.
Myself and my friend Eric Bam, the Bam Man.
The
Bam,
Bam
you're
Man.
great at what you do, man. I appreciate your time and thank you for having
Well,
me on your show.
thank you. And I got one last shout out I got to tell you. My friend, I don't know if he's still on here or not, but Dave Stevenson, the Ukrainian, Canadian, not Puerto Rican, Costa Rican, whatever else he is, he popped something up there earlier. 62 years, 20 minutes to suck a day. How many years? Whatever he asked. It's 452,600 minutes is what that would be.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of suck.
My head hurts.
Yeah, I know. That's a lot of suck, man.
That's a lot of sucking, man. Yeah.
Yep. That's a lot of suck. So we don't want to do that, right? Steve,
Right.
Love you, brother. Thank you, my man.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers.
Take care, everyone.
All right. I told you that would be some good stuff. If you didn't like that show, then I guess you're just not going to like anything. That's all I got to say, which means you're negative. So we got to be positive. Talk to Bob, not Bernie. Buy the book. Buy the book. Buy the book. Anyways, big shout out to Steve. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for jumping on. Share it out so that everybody else, 98% of this is seen on replay. So make sure to shout it out so that we get Steve's message out, because you're welcome, Dave Stevenson. See, I can do math and talk at the same time. You didn't believe it. I know, but now you know. Chewing gum's a problem. Anyway, next week, we're going to go to a very positive guy, which I like, but back to the industry. We have a guy named Tony Bova. Tony is with Felux, which is a technological platform. And basically, they do B2B e-commerce for the metal industry, which is, as you all know, I'm well into. And we're going to talk about how they're kind of shaping the way metal roll formers and suppliers buy their metal. And it's kind of a very unique, interesting concept that they have. And you're gonna love Tony for two ways. We talked an hour and a good hour yesterday on the phone. And thank you, Kellen. And I told him, I said, we're going to talk half the show about metal and your company and what you do. But then we're going to talk about just life and business and sales, because you're gonna love this young guy. He's got it together, and Steve would love him because he is the top of the line when it comes to positive. So you're going to love that. So next week, same time, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, make sure to share us out, get the message out for Steve, and we'll see you next week. And remember this, if you don't remember anything else, make today your best day ever. Who wrote that? Man, that's sloppy writing. Until tomorrow. Cheers, my friends.